I'd like to welcome y'all back to another episode of Beyond the Fear podcast, the place where y'all come for motivation, inspiration, uplifting, and an overall positive message. I'm your host, DJ. And today I want to talk about the importance of showing up. Man, honestly, over the past week, especially at the gym, I've had this conversation maybe like three times where that I was just asked like what's more important, because again I've been on this journey consistently for a year now. I think March, the end of March made a year that I've been going to the gym consistently. And people are just seeing the hard work that I'm putting in, and the little transformations that my body's been having or whatever, they've been seeing it. And so they just wanted to know what's more important, or what's more important. No, I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember how they phrased it. How important is it, or is consistency the most important thing when you're on this weight loss journey? And I can only speak for me. I make sure I say that, so I'll make sure I saying that now. I can only speak for me. The thing that was more important than me being consistent was me showing up, because I know that, again, with my history and how I am, it's hard for me to show up when I'm doing something new. So exercising is something that I did not want to do. It was something that if I hadn't lost that opportunity at the job because of my blood pressure, I probably wouldn't have started exercising. I probably would have said I'm going to, I just procrastinated and continued to put it on the back burner. So the hardest thing for me personally was showing up. I think once I got to the point to where I was showing up, then consistency became the most important thing, making sure I was consistent with it. But showing up was the most important thing, because it was so hard for me to show up for myself when showing up required me to do stuff I didn't want to do. You know what I'm saying? And I remember, I don't know if it was David Banner or Method Man was on the reel, and they were talking about, when they were getting ready to start going to the gym, and just getting up, getting in the car and just going into the parking lot, and then eventually, just doing that day after day, just being in the parking lot looking, and then eventually go in there and, might do something for 5 minutes or whatever, and then leave, whatever the case may be, but just doing it consistently, just showing up and being consistent. Once you showed up, and then I saw something else. I saw another video like last week. Dude, the guy was just like, you can be bad. So it's okay to be bad, but it's not okay to miss 2 days. Like, you can go to the gym and have a bad session, meaning like you, or lazy session. You could just do 5 minutes on the treadmill and go home. He was like, you can have a bad day, you can have a bad session, but you can't not show up. You cannot go 2 days without showing up. I would much rather you show up, put your 5 minutes in, and go. You can have a bad day, but don't have days where you just don't show up. So I think for me personally, the hardest thing at the time when I was first starting, when I wanted to get serious about losing weight, the hardest thing at the time was showing up. I wasn't even worried about being consistent. It was just showing up, especially after the first time my trainer worked me out. I almost threw up twice in the middle of that session. So for me, it was just showing up. I think that was the hardest thing. It was like I wasn't worried about losing weight. I wasn't worried about getting stronger. I wasn't worried about anything. It was just, oh my gosh, I got to get up and go. And then once my body started to get sore because I'm working muscles that I haven't worked in years, it was just like everything in my body, everything in my mind was telling me to quit. I was not worried about being consistent. Being consistent was not on my mind. Being consistent didn't get on my mind until like maybe 2 months into the process. And it was like, okay. And honestly, and I really didn't even get consistent until maybe like 6 months into the process. Well, let me not say that. I was consistent, but there was no desire to go. So it was just purely off of discipline of just, hey, this is what I told myself I was going to do, so this is what I'm going to do. But I hated it. I disliked it very much. going. But yeah, showing up was the most important thing because it was the hardest thing for me because as someone who, and I've talked about it on here so many times, as someone who's so used to quitting, who's so used to giving up, who's so used to going the other way and so against adversity and hard times and having to push through because I didn't have to go through those things. I was able to quit things when they got too hard, or I was able to, I was smart enough to know how to manipulate situations to make them easier for me, to manipulate other people to doing the work or whatever part I didn't like doing. I was able to get them to do that part, or whatever the case, whatever it is that I didn't like to do. I knew enough, like, sometimes there's no avoiding certain things. You just got to do it. Like, hey, if I got to write a paper, I got to write a paper. What's the easiest subject that I can write on? And what's the fewest amount of, you know what I'm saying? You're just trying to find the easiest way. So that was me. And the thing about the gym is, especially when you got a trainer holding you accountable, there is no easy outs. There are no shortcuts. So honestly, just showing up was so hard because there is no manipulation there. Like, could I have if I really just sat down and thought about it? Sure. But I think for me, and I mean, and again, and I'll never forget, there was a day, I don't know what day it was, but it was like in the beginning, like within the first month, I had a leg day coming up and I couldn't sleep. Like, that's how bad my anxiety was. Like, I could not sleep that night because I know, oh my gosh, I'm getting ready to do legs, And so at the time that I had this app, and so she would put my workouts on the app, so I knew what workouts were coming, and we would meet up every Monday and Friday, I think. So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So that's when we met up, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So it had to be either a Wednesday or a Friday, and I knew a leg workout was coming, and I was just so stressed. I could not sleep. I was so stressed. I was so anxious because I think we were getting ready to start a new workout or something like that, or whatever the case was. And yeah, it was a lot, man. So when I tell people showing up was so important, again, for me, I'm not saying it's like that for everybody. Some people may not have a problem showing up. They have the problem with being consistent. So being consistent is more important. But for me personally, as someone who just finds it so hard to not give up on myself, finds it so hard to find that thing within me, that dog in me, that whatever in me, to keep pushing through the hard times, it was hard to not give up because, again, that was just my go-to. That was my fallback. That was always my answer when I felt like things got too hard, or when I felt like I couldn't handle things. I never really gave myself a chance to even try to see if I can handle it. If I could avoid the hard times, if I could avoid not having to go through something that messed up the cushy part, and man, I avoided it. And so it was definitely showing up. Showing up was definitely the hardest part of this journey, was just being consistent, telling myself, hey, we're getting up in the morning and we're going to this gym. And what made it easier for me was the fact that I had a trainer who was waiting on me, and I had to be accountable to her because she was taking time out of her schedule to make time for me to show me these things. And so that to me made it a lot easier, because I know for a fact, because I've been through it so many times, that if I didn't have a trainer, I wouldn't have shown up. I would have maybe shown up maybe 2 days that first week, maybe a day or two the second week, and by the third week, because I wouldn't have seen any changes on a scale or anything, I would have just given up. I wouldn't have even thought about lifting weights, because I've always been told you don't want to build muscle on top of fat. You want to lose the weight first. So I would have never even thought about actually hitting the weights. I would have never thought about actually setting up a leg day, a shoulder day, chest day, whatever the case may be, back. I wouldn't have thought about that because I was taught, at a teenager, you don't want to build muscle on top of fat. So in my mind, you need to lose the weight. So I'm always, I go straight to the treadmill and I'll do like an hour and then I'm done, but I'm not eating right. I'm not making sure that I'm getting enough rest, because I didn't understand how important rest and recovery was I didn't understand how eating the right things could help with the losing weight. Making sure that you eat enough helps with losing weight. I didn't understand these things. I did not understand how the body works, how weight loss works, how body transformation works. I knew very little about it. So I knew that without a trainer, I wasn't going to take it seriously because I would have been lost. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have enough people in my circle who did this for a living, or who trained, who went through body transformations. To I had nobody to really lean on and bounce ideas and get experience from, or get an understanding and information from. So I knew that getting a trainer did two things for me. It made it easier for me to show up because I had somebody holding me accountable, somebody who was setting aside time to do this for me. And number two, I had somebody who I can ask, hey, why is this important? Why am I doing this? Why should I be doing this? Why shouldn't I be doing that? Why doesn't this help me in this moment? So I had somebody to help me with information, help me to understand why I need to be doing things this way, or why I need to be eating at this times, why I need to be eating this much, how to count calories, how to do the micros and things like that. So she just helped me to understand so much and helped me to build a solid foundation that, once the 3 months was up and I was completely on my own, doing it on my own, I had enough of a foundation to keep going and to keep moving and to keep pushing through those hard times, because those times, especially when we first stopped when I first stopped working with her, now it's on me. Now she's not around. She's not, I have nobody holding me accountable but myself. So it could have easily gone left easily. But again, because for 3 months, she helped me to build a solid foundation of what I need to be doing, what it needs to look like, and things like that, that I was able to keep it going. So I think that to answer the question, for me personally, it was showing up. That was the hardest part. And I think after that was building a solid foundation. So being consistent and then building that solid foundation because of the consistency. Those were the three things that helped me to keep moving on even after I had stopped working with my trainer, but the hardest part was definitely showing up. It's so hard. Sometimes it's hard for people to show up for themselves, and I couldn't explain to you why. It's just like that. Sometimes we have no problem showing up for other people. We have no problem being there and doing research for people, or, oh, you need help with this, I got you. You need this, I got you. It's no problem to show up for some people, but sometimes it's so hard to show up for ourselves. And I'm one of those people that it's hard for me to show up for myself. I can show up for other people. I can show out for other people. I can come in and do what I'm supposed to do for other people. But then when it comes to me, it's like all of that is just gone. All that energy, all that want to, there's nothing there. It's like I'm completely on E when it comes to me. And I don't know if it's because I feel like I'm not worth it, or because I don't know what it is, because at the end of the day, I know that I can do it. It's just, I guess for the longest time, I've just been conditioned not to do it, not to do what makes we avoid those uncomfortable conversations. We avoid those uh uncomfortable situations and things like that. We just avoid discomfort. We try to avoid it as much as possible. If something makes us uneasy, just uncomfortable, we want to avoid it. And so you just condition that. You get conditioned to where that just becomes your life story. Oh no, no, that makes me uncomfortable, so I'm not going to do that. And I think that that's just the way it worked out. You get so used to not doing something that not doing it becomes the norm. It becomes the thing. It becomes what you're used to. And then after a while, you do it for so long that, man, by the time you become an adult, you're adverse to hard times. You don't know how to handle them. You don't know how to deal with them. You don't want to deal with them. You want things to be as comfortable and as easy as possible. And so I say that to say that's why it's important to show up for yourself. That's why, because you have to learn how to go through hard times, because hard times are unavoidable. And I think that if I could go back in time, that's one of the lessons that I would try to instill in myself, is that hard times are unavoidable. You're not going to be able to avoid those hard times. You're not going to be able to avoid uncomfortable situations. I don't care how perfect you think your life is. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care whatever the situations you're going to go. Now, your hard times may look different. Now, when you got money and you got access and you got success, your hard times may look different. Your hard times may not be financial, clearly, but it may be emotional. It may be psychological hard times. Everybody's hard times are going to look different based off of what stage of life they're in or what area, what arenas they're in. But hard times come for everybody. Failure comes for everybody. Discomfort comes for everybody. And like I said, I wish that I would have learned that, because I've spent most of my life trying to avoid it and trying to run from it. And all I've ever done is prolong it and make things even harder, because I didn't want to go through whatever storm I may have been facing at that time, and understand it, because I didn't understand what was on the other side. I didn't understand that, man, you get through this, there's peace on the other side. You get through this, there's sunshine, there's calm, there's tranquility on the other side, but you have to go through these tough times to get to where you want to go. And I didn't understand it. I always thought that there was a detour that I could take, another route that I could take. And I think that that's another thing that I would tell myself, and I tell anybody, especially when you're starting something: don't look for the shortcuts, because you condition yourself to get used to the shortcuts. And then when there's no more shortcuts, because you got to go and do, you're at a point now where shortcuts aren't going to get you any further. To elevate to where you want to go, there are no shortcuts anymore. There are no shortcuts to get. Once you get to a certain level, there are no more shortcuts. You have to do the work to get to the next level, but you've conditioned yourself to look for that shortcut. And when you don't know where that shortcut is, or there is no shortcut for you to take advantage of, now you're froze and now you're stuck. And I say that from experience, because that's been my life for the longest time. Is I wanted the shortcuts. I wanted the easy way out. I wanted the thing that doesn't require me to go as hard as the next person, as hard as I know I need to go to get to where I want to be. Where is the shortcut? Where is the easy route? Where is the skip line, button where I can skip the line? And you get conditioned to always need that. And when you don't have it, so for example, when I'm in the gym and there is no shortcut to losing this weight, like maybe there is by taking pills. I'm not a person who likes to take pills or taking a shot. And again, I don't take the shot. One of the reasons why is because all I've heard is people talking about how they get sick, and how one lady even told me she was in the hospital for like 2 or 3 days. Again, I know they have this trope of like men become big babies when they're sick. When I throw up, that's just the end of it for me. I do not like throwing up. Once I start throwing up, the day is done. You can go ahead and wrap it up. I'm done for the day. So I think I do turn into a big baby when I throw up. So I've been scared to take the pills and to take the shots. So for me, there is no shortcut, because that's the only option for me. So I have to go. I have to go in there and I have to lift that weight. I have to get on that treadmill and do my 30 minutes or my 50 minutes or whatever it is that I'm doing. I have to go in there and do my legs, my shoulders. I have to go do it. There is no shortcut for me. And so I didn't know how to function in the beginning when I first started losing weight, because I'm always used to looking at what can I manipulate? What can I change to make this easier for me? And again, there are some things that come easier now than they did before, because I'm used to it. My body's used to it. I can do certain things way easier than I could before, but there is no shortcut. I have to eat right. I have to go to the gym. I have to make sure that I'm exercising, make sure that I'm walking, make sure that I'm active, make sure that I'm paying attention to how much I eat, what I eat, when I eat. You know what I'm saying? So these are all things that I have to do. There are no shortcuts. And I'm learning how to function without shortcuts. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that it's important to understand that you have to show up for yourself. You have to show yourself. It's like conditioning, and it's no different than when people say you got to tell yourself, I am this, I am amazing, I am worth it, I am beautiful, I am handsome, I will have this, this will happen for me, I am going to achieve this. You know what I'm saying? You have to tell yourself these things. That's the same thing for Shonda. You have to show up for yourself. You have to let yourself know that you are worth the hard work that you're going to have to put in to get to where you want to be. You have to believe it. And sometimes you have to tell yourself these things before you believe it. Sometimes you got to tell yourself, I'm worthy, even though you may feel like that you're not. You are worthy, but you got to keep telling yourself, because eventually you'll believe it. You tell yourself these things enough times, eventually you'll believe it, because you'll see, hey, I'm walking my walk. I'm not just talking it, I'm walking it. I am worthy. I am worth this. I can be successful. And you just keep doing it. Those little things add up. Those small victories that we talk about on this channel, those small things, those small wins, they add up. Just showing up. Again, like the video said, even if you just show up and do 5 minutes, and you do that every single day, and at some point it becomes 6 minutes on the treadmill, it becomes 10 minutes on the treadmill, and you might say, hey, let me go get on the bench real quick. Let me go do these bicep curls. Let me tricep extensions. Let me go do these things, but it has to start somewhere, and you have to believe in yourself. But it starts with you just showing up. And I don't care if showing up is you going in there and talking to the people at the front desk of the gym. And I'm just using the gym as an example, but whatever, whatever spaces you need to show up for yourself in, just using the gym as an example, even if it's just you going in there and you just talking to them about joining up. You start talking to them about a trainer. You introduce yourself to some of the trainers. Just show up for yourself. Show yourself that you're worthy. Show yourself that you deserve the amount of time, the energy, and effort that you're getting ready, that you're going to have to put in to be successful. You're worth it. Teach your brain that. We have to train our brains. It's so crazy because earlier when I came home from the gym, one of my neighbors was out there, and just, hey, how you doing and all that, and she was like, make sure you enjoy today. And I said, I'm gonna try. And she was like, what did she say? She said a concrete mind or something she said. And I was like, you know what, you're right. I am going to have a good day. I am going to enjoy this day. And I want you to enjoy your day as well. And it's just that simple. The way you talk to yourself, the way that you talk about yourself, I'm going to try. Instead of saying I am going to have a good day, I am going to enjoy today. I am going to be successful. I am going to find that job. I am going to whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? So just something that small, that simple, because I say it without even thinking, hey, I'm going to try. Like and it's just like, and she just reminded me, no, you need to know I am going to have a good day. I am going to do well. I am going to be successful. I am going to achieve these things. But those are things that we got to remind ourselves. And it's good when you got people like that to catch you and to tell you, no, you need to change the way you need to rephrase that. I am going to have a good day. I am, and so I do appreciate that. And it's just so crazy that it happened today. But again, showing up for yourself, you have to do it. You have to. And yeah, there are gonna be days when you don't want to. And that was another thing that I had to understand, that why discipline is more important than motivation, because there are gonna be days when you weren't motivated. There are gonna be days when you absolutely don't want to do it. But when you're disciplined, hey, I got to get up, got to go do this. And I mean, and that's where I am now. I'm in a place where I'm disciplined now. Are there days when I do want to go in the gym and I'm excited to be in there? Yes. But I have my days when I don't want to go. I have my days when that alarm go off and I just want to lay in the bed, and it's just like, nope, let me get up. Let me go do what I need to do so I can get in there and do what I need to do in the gym. And that's discipline. And I had to understand that, because I've been trying to go off of motivation. I've been trying to let motivation drive me, but I had to understand that there are days when you're not motivated. There are days when you just don't have it. There are days when life is just beating you down. And you know what I'm saying? Whatever motivation you had yesterday, or whatever motivation you may have had earlier in the day, you may not have that motivation anymore. It may not be there anymore. And so now you can't rely on motivation. And that kind of tripped me up too. And I had to realize that I can't rely on motivation. So even in doing this podcast, I was just doing it off of motivation. And in the beginning, when I had so many subjects to talk about and so many things that I wanted to talk about, it was easy. So it was easy to stay motivated because I could think of 3 or 4 things, in one day, and then put them into 3, 4 episodes, whatever the case may be. So it was easy. And so now as time has gone along and I've talked about so many things and I've talked about so many subjects in my life and things like that. And now I got to really, really think about things, except for at times when things just come to me, like, this episode, for example, enough people ask me that question. And then it's like, okay, I can turn this into an episode. I can talk about why it's so important to show up for yourself, or why it was so important for me, why that was the more important thing in the beginning, was showing up, and instead of consistency. Showing up was way more important for me because of how I've lived my life and the decisions and the choices that I've made. Showing up was way harder than being consistent. I had to show up first before I even thought about being consistent. But so there are times when an idea for an episode just come to me, and then there are times when I really got to sit back, I really got to think, I really got to do some research, I really have to like really dive deep into what am I going through right now, what are some things that I can really sit down for 30 minutes and really talk about. And there are times when the motivation just is not there, but the discipline has to be there. And the discipline is when it's like, I know on this day, this is when I record. These are my recording days. This is when I get up and I record. Just like the same thing with the gym. These are the days that I get up and I go to the gym. My alarm is set. I know what it is. Again, there are days when I don't feel like it. There are days when I'm slow rolling in there, and but I get up and I do it because of discipline. Because again, there are times when I'm just not motivated. So that was another thing that I had to understand. I can't lean on motivation. Now, that's great when I got motivation on top of the discipline, but I have to have the discipline. The discipline has to be that there is no way that when I'm doing something or when I'm trying to achieve something that I can't have discipline. So, I try to find ways to be disciplined in everything that I do, even when it comes to washing my clothes. I make sure on certain days, those are the days that I wash clothes. On certain days, those are the days that I'm cleaning the house and sweeping and mopping and doing my thing, because it's about discipline. Do I want to clean the house at times? No, I don't. I don't have the energy to do that, or I don't have the desire. I would much rather just lay in the bed and just chill. But I understand the importance of discipline. I understand the importance of saying that I'm going to do something and setting my mind to it and saying, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I say that I'm going to do it on this day. Then now when this day comes, I do that. I understand the importance of it, because that rolls over into other parts of your life. So, and because I know because I've been doing it with the gym for so long, that now that discipline thing has kind of rolled over to other parts of my life. Now, I'm also a person who loves routines. I am a very routine person, to the point where I struggle sometimes when my routine is off, when something happens and I'm off my routine. So, like, for example, when we went to visit my grandfather in Houston, there were days that I didn't go to the gym. Um, there was a day when I was supposed to wash, but we were out in Houston, so I didn't wash that day. So it just, so then when we get back home, it just kind of throws me off, because my rhythm's off, my routine's off. So, and I know, especially like in my relationship and with my ex, that was something that I didn't handle well. I did not handle being off routine or being off schedule very well. So that's something that I've had to kind of learn to do better with. And hopefully I'm doing better. I'm not in a relationship to really know if how I'm handling that, but hopefully with the next relationship, I handle that way better than I did, because I didn't even realize it was a problem. So now that I know that it is a problem, hopefully I'm in a better position to handle it a lot better than I did before, because I didn't even know it was a problem. But I say all that to say, I'm learning how important discipline is, and I'm learning how to take that mindset, that disciplinary mindset, and apply it to other parts of my life. And it's been helpful. It gets to the point to where sometimes it feels good to clean. It's just therapeutic when I can just put my music on and just go do what I need to do as far as cleaning. And so it becomes this form of therapy for me, where I just get to chill, I just get to relax, I just get to listen to music, and I just get to vibe out. It makes me look at cleaning in a totally different way, and I can understand people who, when they're stressed out, they just want to clean, because I can start to feel the chill and the therapeutic in, just cleaning and just being able to get away from it all, not talk to anybody, just put your music in and just vibe out while you're cleaning. That becomes like somewhat of a safe space, and that's crazy for me. I you could have not paid me. There was nothing that you could have said to me to get me to believe that I would be saying that about the same things that I'm saying now about cleaning. You couldn't have got me. You wouldn't have. There would have been no way that I would have believed that I would be saying those things about cleaning 2-3 years ago. But that just goes to show you how much life can change when you give things a chance, or when you stick to things, when you really push for things. Things can change. I never thought I would be the person that goes to the gym every day. I never thought I would be the person who doesn't feel right when I'm not in it, when I don't go to the gym that day, or when I feel bad, like I did something wrong when I missed a day at the gym, especially if it's not because I'm sick. But again, that's a part of that discipline. So as long as I'm not sick, and as long as my body is able to get up and go, then I get up and go. And that's purely off of discipline, because again, there are days when I don't want to, but even in then, I don't let that doubt or um that laziness creep in. When that alarm go off, like, will I roll my eyes? Yeah. Will I be like, oh my gosh, yes? But I still get up and I still do what I'm supposed to do. So I mean, again, just showing up is so important. That was the most important thing for me. And showing up for myself when it came to the gym has changed my life for the better. I'm in a way better position in so many aspects of my life because I showed up, because I took something that previously I wouldn't have taken seriously. I took it seriously. I took myself seriously enough to say, hey, I'm worth this. So you are worth it. You are worth the time, the effort, the energy that you're going to have to put into making your goals happen. And it's not going to be easy. You're going to have your hard days. You're going to have days when you're not motivated. You're going to have your days when you feel like quitting, but don't be guided by motivation. Be guided by discipline. Understand what it takes to get to where you want to be. You set you a chart, a plan, a game plan, whatever it is that you need to do, and you stick to it. You have the discipline to stick to it. I don't care if that means eating the same things every single day. I don't care if that means whatever, you know what I'm saying, that your life needs to be on a schedule at times, because that'll help you with your discipline. But whatever it is, you make that game plan, you put it together, and you stick to it, because you are worth it. And remember to tell yourself, I am worth it. I am going to achieve this. I am. Please condition yourself to start thinking that way, and I'll do the same. But that's it for today's episode. I want to thank everybody for listening on whatever platforms y'all are listening on. I appreciate the love and the support that y'all have been giving me. And to everybody watching on YouTube, I thank y'all as well. And I appreciate the love that y'all have been giving me on my channel on YouTube, Beyond the Fear podcast. Please continue to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And until the next time we meet, y'all stay blessed.